Have you ever woken up from a dream and just felt like complete crap or just felt really triggered in some kind of emotional way because something in the dream triggered you? Well, that's what happened to me this morning. I was flying on this high of just feeling so good, so in my power, really taking a hold of the mental chatter that I have experienced my whole life and just really taking control over it, and getting really into this beautiful rhythm of feeling super empowered and really creating my life with this beautiful intention. And then this morning I woke up and I had this dream, and this dream was triggering to me in so many different ways. Like I just felt really down. I felt sad. I felt lonely. I felt depressed. Like when I woke up, it just was not a good feeling. And it's not so much about like what happened in the dream. It was just the feelings that I was feeling in the dream. And this feeling, like this lingering energy was with me for like the whole morning. And it really took a big shift in my perception, in my focus, to pull myself out of it. So if you have ever experienced something like this, like I just want to share this story with you and how I pulled myself out of it so that you can recognize that you have the power to do the same thing. Because how shitty I felt was just like I haven't hit a low like that in quite some time. And I was really shocked. I was really surprised. Then, of course, those feelings and like me feeling sort of powerless over those feelings was really trapping me and sort of pushing me further down into this hole of like just not feeling good about myself. And then I decided to pick up a book. I'm like, I have to pull myself out of this. I can't let this dream keep me locked into these emotions and into these feelings and then into these thoughts. I'm like, no way. So I picked up a book. It's called Feelings Buried Alive. And there was a couple of things that really, really made sense in this book that really started to shift my feelings. I ended up journaling actually, because then I felt called to journal and just like write out to mind dump, to like write out not so much the details of the dream, but more of like what I felt the dream represented and what kind of emotions it was bringing up. These feelings of like loneliness and sadness, abandonment, it was all very subconscious. Like I really connected the dots of how these were emotions that were rising from my subconscious for me to review, for me to look at, and for me to actually release. But I want to mostly talk about how to like overcome that when these triggers come up and when this happens, how to pull yourself out of it. The voice within me, this dark voice, which was telling me that I was still unhealed, that I still haven't overcome certain things within myself, that I still had like certain issues because I connected it back to a family member that I had like abandonment wounds with and things like that. So the person in my dream was merely representing the deeper feelings that were buried alive within me, as the book says. And when I finally got myself back into like, okay, let's get a hold of this. This voice that was telling me all these negative things about me and that was trying to convince me that I was powerless over these emotions, I realized I was like, oh my God, there it is again. So that's the darkness. That is what we call or we label as the Dark Lord, right? Satan, the devil, whatever you want to call it. The devil is not something that is outside of us. The darkness is not something that is outside of us. It is something that is within us, and it is within the mind, okay? And it comes through in thoughts, and then those thoughts produce certain feelings. And then those feelings will produce certain emotions. Emotions and feelings, I just want to differentiate the two. Emotions and feelings, the difference between the two. Feeling is something that you feel within inside, but you don't act upon it. And an emotion is something that you feel inside, but it evokes an action. So there is an external manifestation of the feeling. The feeling is only a feeling internally, and an emotion is the feeling externalized. Okay, so that's the difference between the two. And I made a very firm and a very conscious choice to take my power back from the darkness within that was trying to override my power, that was trying to override all of my godliness, like all of the true creative power that I have within myself. And in the moment that I made that decision, my energy instantly shifted. My feelings, it's like they just dissipated. It's like they were never even there. The emotions along with it, like it just all left me instantly. Because in that moment, I felt like I was back in my power because I was back in my power. So what I'm really trying to say here is that when you are really triggered, whether that's by a dream, whether that's by a person, an event, when you are triggered by an external circumstance and you are reacting to it the same way that you have always reacted to it, you're going to keep feeding and you're going to keep alive that darkness. You're going to believe, and your belief system is going to structure around what the darkness is saying, not what the truth is, which comes from your divinity, which comes from your light essence, which comes from your personal power. It is the will that has the power to change any feeling or emotion in any given moment. And as someone who is empathic and someone who is most certainly very emotional, because I can get very emotional over things, I recognize now how I actually have full control over my emotions. And I have full control over the things that I feel. And the way that I stay in control of what I feel and the way that I override the negative emotions, the undesirable emotions that we often don't want to feel or don't like to feel, is through stepping back into my power and reminding myself of the spark within me, the divine within me, the God essence and the power of creation that God essence within me has to create the type of life, to create the type of feelings, to create the type of thoughts, and therefore create the external reality that I actually truly not only want to experience, but have a divine right, have a divine power to experience, that I have an inherent worthiness to experience. So while I may have given my power away for the first half of my day to that darkness, that Satan, that dark energy within me, and I allowed it to rule my thoughts, to rule my feelings, and to rule over my emotion and dictate my emotions, I was simultaneously also able to, literally in the blink of an eye, in one moment, take my power back from it and completely shift the energy that I was in, the mood that I was in, the thoughts and the feelings that I was having. I was completely able to shift it, and very, very quickly. These are the tests. Like if you are experiencing undesirable outcomes in your life right now, those have all come from the thoughts and the feelings and the emotions that you have been a slave to, I'm hearing, that you have been giving your power away to. And it is truly, truly choice, personal choice, powerful choice that allows us in any given moment to choose between embodying our godliness and reminding ourselves of the power that we hold within ourselves to create our reality moment by moment, or to choose to give in to the darkness, to believe those false, negative, demeaning, lower vibrational thoughts, voices that we are hearing within ourselves, to give our power to that. So in any given moment and in any given situation, you have the choice, you have the power and the gift of choice to choose which wolf to feed. The black one or the white one, like to choose which energy you are going to feed and which energy you are plugged into and operating from. When you recognize that you have the power to change any circumstance in your life by shifting your focus, by shifting your thoughts, by shifting your feelings, you will begin to win at life in a way like no one else. But it truly takes conscious awareness of like what is happening. And what I find, because I know this from personal experience, like the more that you feed into, the more that you believe those negative thoughts and those feelings, and the more that you are allowing yourself literally to sit in them, the more of a momentum they are going to have. And this is why it is so easy to fall back to the negativity, to fall back to believing that you are not worthy, to believing that you are not enough, to believing that you are powerless to change a situation, or to believing that you don't have control over a situation. That's why it's so easy, because if you have practiced that a lot, guess what? It's going to have significant momentum. And everything in our external world, everything outside of you is truly, truly a reflection of what you have thought and what you have believed and what you have felt up until this point. So anything that is undesirable in your experience right now, those are all the result, the byproduct of your previous frequency that you have embodied, that you have bought into, that you have lived from. And I feel that the biggest challenge that every single one of us, that we all have here on earth, and the reason why we come here, is to actually learn how to use our God power, how to use our godliness, and how to live from that energy. That's it. There's no riddle. There's no secret. There is no other purpose to life than for you to learn how to live in that God energy, in that power, and how to create your life from that power. Because creation energy is happening in both cases. You are creating darkness and you are creating light at the same time. Or like whatever you are embodying more is what you're going to create more of. And this is why so much of humanity is suffering. This is why so much of humanity is living in turmoil, in poverty, starving, living in war, and all these different kind of very low vibrational energies, is because people do not understand their own power. People do not understand their ability to tap into and access and live from the God spark within them. They don't understand that. They don't know that. And that is purposely suppressed through everything outside of us. Because everything outside of us, if you look at the way that we operate our current world, everything outside of us is placing value on like empty things. True success is creating a life for yourself that you are in love with, and creating that life from the life force, from the consciousness of God that is within you. That is true success. And that can look however you want it to look, because it's going to look different for every single one of us, because we each value different things. So wherever you are on your journey right now, and no matter how bad or terrible you feel right now, the main thing that I want you to understand, you feel like shit because you are choosing to listen to the darkness. You are choosing to listen and believe the stories, the little voice in your head that constantly speaks of lack and limitation, that constantly keeps your attention on what you don't have, on what you're not experiencing, on not being happy because fill in the blank. And all you have to do is to choose to listen to your intuition, to choose to listen to the much quieter voice within you, which is your higher self, who speaks softly because it is your higher self. It doesn't shout. It doesn't yell. It doesn't get loud. It speaks softly because it is a soft, loving energy. And all you have to do is choose to listen to that, to hear that instead of the shouting, instead of the loud, obnoxious voice that tells you you suck, that tells you you're not capable, that tells you that you are not in control. And the biggest fulfillment in life from everyone that I have ever witnessed in all the years that I've been doing coaching and within my own life that I have witnessed, the biggest fulfillment comes from overcoming that voice, that loud, obnoxious voice. That is the biggest fulfillment in life. I believe that is truly more fulfilling than any material experience or physical experience that you can have. Because you overcoming that, and it's like literally bringing up like emotion just talking about this, you overcoming that is you stepping fully into your higher self, your God consciousness, that spark of the divine that is within you that you would not be alive without. That is you fully in that energy, living, breathing, feeling from and creating from that energy. It is the biggest accomplishment in life for any human being because it is the main reason why you are here, why I am here, why the next person is here. We are all here to learn how to tap into and create and live from our divinity. To override the devil, the darkness, Satan that is whispering or shouting in your ear. Lies, untruths, deception. And it makes so much sense to me now why people reach for alcohol, why people reach for drugs. You know what they're doing in that moment? They're just trying to silence that fucking voice. That's what they're doing in that moment. They're just trying to silence that bullshit voice. And they're actually seeking to get closer to God. People with addictions are seeking to get closer to God. Not an external God that is outside of you, but the internal God that is within them. Because your soul knows, I don't care who you are, every single human being that was born perfect, pure, a spark of consciousness, a spark of the divine. That's how every baby enters this world. And then it's the programming that they receive from the darkness, from the ignorance of their peers, society, family, parents, that starts to mess with that. It starts putting layers over top of that divinity. And by the time that kid reaches 5, 6, 7, they get so far, so disconnected from that divinity within themselves, if the programming is really bad. Most kids are actually still quite in touch with it up until the age of 7. But depending on the programming, you can get so far from that divinity within yourself that you completely forget your own power, that you completely forget who you truly are and the immense power that you have within yourself to create reality. We are here to create reality. So I wanted to share that, and I sincerely hope that this video lands on your feed if you are someone who struggles, who has the inner battle of the darkness and of the light, and you continuously buy into and believe the darkness more than you believe in the light within you. And I just want to remind you that the light, that God spark within you, from which all creation comes, from which everything that you are currently experiencing has come from, that you have created, the unfavorable experience is created through the misuse of that power. Everything, that light, is the most powerful force of creation. Nothing is as powerful of a creator as the light source, as the God spark. Because even the bad things that you have in your life and even the unwanted experiences that you're having in your life are coming from that source. You created it from that source because you are a divine being. You are a divine creator. So you created those things, but you created them misusing that power. You created them with the darkness tainting that power. And so therefore that darkness is reflected in the external experience. But if you move that darkness out of the way, there is nothing but pure light source energy, pure creation, creative power. And with that, you can create miracles. So you can either be the created, which is what the darkness will do, because it disempowers you. So you become the created, and your negative thoughts and feelings are going to create undesirable circumstances, which then force you to become the created, because those unwanted circumstances are going to shape who you are as a person. They're going to start morphing and shaping your true divinity. Or you can be the creative, the one who stands in their power, who uses their free will to create a life that they truly love, from power, from divinity. I hope all of this makes sense, and I hope that it is finding the people that it needs to land with, because this was huge. This was such a massive shift in my day today. The incredible shift from powerlessness to power in an instant was fucking mind-blowing. I was just flabbergasted. I was like, wow, that's how powerful I am. Okay, cool. So if you have any questions about what I just talked about, what I shared, or any comments, or if you would like to share an experience where you shifted from powerlessness to power, then I would love to hear it. Share it in the comments below, because we all inspire each other. And other people also read your comments, by the way. So let's share successes. Let's share breakthroughs here on this channel, because that's what my whole life has been. Going from shitty experiences, trauma, pain, unfulfilled desires, to moving into the highest, most transformed, most expansive version of myself, overcoming all of that darkness, overriding all of that darkness, and truly stepping into the most powerful, most divine version of myself. That's what this channel is about. So if you've been along for the ride for some time, I thank you. I appreciate you. And if you're new here, welcome. Thank you. for tuning in today. And I'll see you very soon in the next video.